Hello, it is me, Purple Husky Man, and I'm gonna read a little something today again. I did that a couple of videos ago with Cat County. I'm gonna read something else. This time, though, I did not write this. Which leads us to the disclaimer. Okay, here is the disclaimer. I'm not trying to humiliate the author of this story in any way. I did not write the following selection. It was written by anonymous source, and I do have, I do have permission for this, so that's good. And now that the disclaimer's over, we can begin. It's called Forever Friends. Here we go. This book is dedicated in memory of my special little goat, Jake. Okay, here we go. It was the summer of 1995, and my sister was playing in a traveling softball league. At the time, she was playing in Loudonville. My whole family was there watching. I never did like going to any of her games, but I really didn't have a choice. After the game was over, my grandma said, "Let's go look at some goats." I was so happy that someone finally wanted to do something that I would enjoy. My grandma had been talking about getting a pygmy goat. The place she was going to get it from was close to the ball field, so we asked my mom if I could go. She said yes, and we went on our way. We had to drive a little while, but it was worth it. As soon as we got to the lane, we saw a little red barn with a picket fence. There, we also saw a dog that looked like Lassie. There were two young girls painting outside, painting the fence white. A man was working outside too. I figured they must be the owners of the goats we were about to see. I couldn't wait to see what color they were. The man that was outside did indeed own the goats. Strangely enough, his name was Jake. That's the same name my grandma calls me when I stay with her. The man led us to the pen where the goats were. I fell in love with the caramel-colored one. At first he seemed a little scared when I went to pick him up. After a few gentle hugs, though, he was laying in my arms like a baby. He was only 1 week old. That was the bad part. This means I could not take him home until he was 8 weeks old. I didn't know how I would ever stand to wait until that day. My grandma took a picture of me holding him, though, so I would at least have that. Okay. We decided that we definitely wanted him and would be back in 7 weeks to pick him up. The man told us some things about goats, since we never had owned one before. He told us what to feed him and how to take care of him. Then he asked what we were going to name him. We weren't sure. So he suggested Jake. We thought that was perfect. I told Jake goodbye and pulled myself away from him so we could go home. We left and went back to the ball field to tell my mom and sister about cute little Jake. That's when the waiting began. Once we got home, Grandma and I started getting the barn ready for our lovable little pet. We put straw down in a cardboard box for him to climb on or get in. He had his own stall ready and waiting for him. We even went to the Equities and got special goat grain for him to eat. I could not wait until he would finally be ours. Finally, the day came when it was time to get Jake. I was so excited. I was so excited. It was August 14th, and I was at my grandma's taking a dip in her pool. All of a sudden, she and Grandpa said, "Come on, let's go get the new edition." I knew right away what they were talking about. I jumped out of the pool, dried off, and quickly got dressed. We hopped into my grandma's car and we were off. It seemed like an even longer drive this time. When we got there, we talked to Jake, the owner, first. We then went out to the goat pen, and there was my adorable little goat. He had grown a bit, but he was as cute as ever. As I walked into the pen, I could not wait to pick him up and take him home. At first it was hard to catch him because he was running all around, but once I caught him, he was mine. Grandma paid Mrs. Jake for him, and we got in the car to head for home. We put him in a box for the ride because we did not know how he would handle this. He lay down and cried just a little bit. When we got home, we found an old dog collar to put on him. It was a little big, but it worked great when taking him for a walk. We led him to the barn to show him his pet new home. We were all anxious to see what he would do. He walked around and sniffed every nook and cranny. He acted like he could get used to it. I played with him a little more until it was time to eat supper. Grandma said I could eat supper there since I wanted to play with Jake after we ate. As soon as I was finished eating, I went back out to see how he was doing. When I got out there, he was laying down. I said hi to him, and he looked up. I knew we had already started a relationship. A little bit later, my mom came to get me. She couldn't wait to go out to see Jake. She said he was so cute. Then we left and said we would definitely be back tomorrow. As the days went by, I spent a lot of my time with him. He soon learned his name and seemed to recognize my voice. We began to grow more than just best friends. It was more like a mother-baby relationship. He was becoming extremely spoiled and wanted to be with me as much as I wanted to be with him. As much as I would, Okay, we would often sit by my grandma's campfire so I could rock him to sleep. Jake and I would hop into my grandpa's wagon, which was hooked to the riding lawnmower, and go for rides around the yard. We took a lot of walks, and I told him many secrets. I knew he could keep them. He no longer needed a leash for our walks. He would just follow me. What a wonderful little friend I had found in Jake. I had Jake just 4 weeks when something terrible began to happen. I noticed he was in pain when I would pick him up. He would scream as if he wanted me to help him. My grandma and grandpa had went away on a camping trip, so my mom called the veterinarian. He came and gave Jake some medicine. That didn't seem to help him at all. In fact, Jake seemed to be getting worse. We called Grandma and Grandpa and they came home. Grandma called another veterinarian, who was very concerned and said to bring him in right away. I held him as Grandma drove us to the veterinarian's office. He checked him over and said he had kidney stones and would need immediate surgery. I held him as they put him to sleep. There were 3 veterinarians working on him. I waited in the waiting room with Grandma. The veterinarians did everything they could, but could not make him better. Jake had to go to goat heaven. I was very sad, and so was Grandma. We both had to cry and wondered why this had to happen to Jake. I will remember all the fun things we did and the special little goat he was. Time had went so quickly with Jake. It all seemed to end too soon, but the memories of him will last forever. Thank you. Thank you. That's Forever Friends by Anonymous Source.